Hey everybody, it is Alvin here with Proverbs 7. Today we're just going to go through Proverbs 7 just like how we did for Proverbs 5 for our youth group so that we can all be on the same track as we teach Proverbs 7 to our youth group. Again, this is not supposed to be an in-depth video. It's not supposed to be any advanced exegesis or like word studies or anything crazy like that. It's more like, here are my initial thoughts, and here is how we can teach this to our kids. After taking some suggestions, this one's going to be a little bit more, have a little bit more relevance to our kids, and I'm going to try to stress the relevance aspect to our youth. Also, I want to stress the fact that while this is talking about a woman, there's still principles in here that can be extracted for everybody. And so that's my hope for Proverbs 7 as we go through this. On the left side, you'll see my NIV Bible, and on the right side, you'll see a commentary that I might be reading alongside with. You can read the commentary, but you don't really have to. I'll be basically summarizing it. Any of the interpretive problems, I'll be talking through it, but it's not much. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to start reading the text, the Bible first. I'm going to read it in a little bit more of a different way this time. I think I'm going to read it as a narrative, like a story. And so hopefully you'll enjoy my story talking voice. All right. Proverbs 7, verses 1 to 27, NIV. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Keep my commands as you will live. Guard my teaching as the apple of your eye. Bind them to your fingers and write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and to insight, you are my relative. They will keep you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words. At the window of my house, I looked down through the lattice. I saw the simple. I noticed among the young men a youth who had no sense. He was going down to the street near her corner, walking along in the direction of her house, and at twilight, as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in, then came out a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and crafty intent. She is unruly and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Now in the streets, now in the squares, at every corner she lurks. She took a hold of him and kissed him, and with a brazen face she said, Today I filled my vows, and I have food from my fellowship offering at home. So I came out to meet you. I looked for you, and I found you. I have covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. I perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. My husband's not at home. He has gone on a long journey. He took his purse filled with money, and he will not be home till full moon. With persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with smooth talk. All at once, he followed her, like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping into the noose, till an arrow pierces his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, like knowing it will cost him his life. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Do not let your heart turn to her ways, or stray into her paths. Many are her victims she has brought down. Her slain are mighty throng. Her house is a highway to the grave, leading down to the chambers of death. Wow, that is a story. So Proverbs 7 is written as a story, and some would actually say that this actually happened to Solomon. Again, the author of this proverb is Solomon. He's writing to his son, which explains a lot of the gender language. In this, there's 3 sections. Verses 1 to 5 is the appeal. verses 6 through 23 is the example, the story, or I'm going to call it. And then verses 24 to 27 is the final appeal. So let's just walk through each of these sections, and I'll just talk through them, and then I'll give some relevancy, application places here and there. Okay, verse 1, my son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Again, this is Solomon appealing to his son to, hey, remember what I'm saying. Don't lose what I'm going to say to you, because in fact, I want you to store up my commands within you, basically internalize these commands with you. Don't let them go. Verse 2, keep my commands and you will live. Right? Essentially saying, hey, keep my commands and you'll live. Right? The idea is that if you don't keep my commands, you will die. Right? And in this way of life, there's almost an aspect of, choose the life. You don't want to choose death. And life means keeping the commands. And the commands is essentially what's going to happen in verses 6 through 23. Right? It's basically just to stay away from the woman. Right? Guard my teaching as the apple of your eye. The apple of your eye is an English idiom for the pupil of the eye. This is an English idiom, which means that it's not Hebrew, and so it's you can just say, guard my teachings as the apple of your eye. Just guard your eyes. Something like that. That might be wrong, but I'm not too sure. Verse 3, bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Bind them on your fingers, it's I don't really know how you would explain that, but it's just keep it with you, don't lose it. If you bind something to your hands, you can't let go of it because it's bound to your hands. It's if you tape something to your hands, it's as much as you want to let it go, it's a piece of paper can still be taped to your hands. Moreover, the idea of write them on the tablet of your heart, it's again the internalization. Don't let this only become something that you keep in your head, of something that you don't really care about, maybe, but it's rather something that you should internalize. You should actually understand. One practical example of this is when a kid repeats instruction from their parents. If the parent says, hey, kid, or my son, clean up your room, and the kid asks, why should I clean up my room? The parent could say, because I told you so. And yes, technically that, well, I don't know much about parenting, but that is a response, but is it a good response? That's not necessarily the case. But the idea is that if that kid goes on and internalizes the because I told you so, your kid is going to grow up with the internal understanding that you have to obey your parents, even if it's not really good reason. And so there may be consequences in the future of accepting your parents at every single word, but the problem is that parents are not perfect. Nobody is perfect, and so this may lead into manipulation, coercion, things that could happen with parents who actually do not give a sufficient answer to their children about commands. And so essentially, what Solomon, the author of Proverbs, at least this chapter, is saying, hey, internalize these commands. These are good commands to internalize. There are bad commands to internalize, but this you want to internalize on the tablet of your heart. Again, tablet is kind of bringing up the idea of the 10 Commandments, because they were written on tablets. Verses 4 says, say to wisdom, you are my sister, and to insight, you are my relative. Essentially, you guys, wisdom and insight, you are close. You are my sister. You are my relatives. This is the family you want. You want a family of wisdom. Something good to note here is that wisdom is being personified as a woman again, which is something that we need to continue bringing up, because in a lot of Proverbs, wisdom is personified as a woman. So I want to continue to stray away from the fact that Proverbs can be seen as a sexist text, when in reality, wisdom is also personified as a woman, right? Verse 5, they will keep you away from the adulterous woman. They, meaning the sister and relative, that is wisdom and insight. Wisdom and insight will keep you away from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words. Wayward woman just means like a foreigner, somebody who doesn't know where she's going. And so here we have the contrast between like the sister and the relative of insight and wisdom, in contrast with the adulterous woman. That's the type of idea that's happening there. Verses 6 through 23 is the example that Solomon saw. It's unsure if Solomon actually saw this or if this is just an illustration. I'm kind of on the idea that it is actually something that happened. It doesn't really have that much. Nothing here sparks the idea that it could be a fake story, like a parable. It sounds like it's a real story that actually happened. So what does Solomon say? Solomon says this: "At the window of my house, I look down through the lattice." Now, windows at the time had lattices, basically a grid pattern to hold in the glass. It's like so when kids ask you, what is it? Just think a grid pattern on the glass to hold the glass in place. It was like a frame within the glass itself. Verse number 7, I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who had no sense. Simple here could mean, it could mean a lot of things, but here it's like people who are easily enticed, easily seduced. Simple young men, they explain who is this character that we're going to meet. It is the youth. So the youth is the person, is the male in this. And he's described as, one, a youth who had no sense, a person hanging out with other young men, and altogether they're described as simple. So these are adjectives for this person, this male. And what was this guy doing? He says, verse 8 says, he was going down the street near her corner, walking along the direction of her house. Now this kind of echoes Proverbs 5 when it says this. Proverbs 5 says something very similar. It says, verse 8, keep to a path far from her. Do not go near the door of her house. Here, the man is not following that instruction. Rather, he is going straight to her corner, walking along the direction of her house. And so what time is it? So Solomon sets the setting. It says it's at twilight. The day was fading and dark of the night sets in. Now, in culture, we know in our modern day culture, sexual things typically happen throughout the night. It happens near night. And this idea is still very much true in the past, where the night was seen as, the time to get freaky in the sheets, Okay, verses 10 now describes the woman, the adulterous woman. We got an idea of who this woman is in verses 5. It's a person who's an adulterous woman, a wayward woman with seductive words, but now we finally get a bigger description of who this woman is. It says, then came out a woman to meet him, right? So the woman meets the man, and she's dressed like a prostitute, and she has crafty intent, right? She wants to trick the man, right? Here it gives in parentheses. I think the NIV does this. I don't know. Let me check the ESV. Proverbs 7. The ESV does not put these in parentheses. So just know that when you have these parentheses, translators are the committee, the translating committee, put those there to indicate that this is parenthetical of the story. It says this: she is unruly and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. What does this mean? She's unruly. It means she can't be ruled, right? She's like, the idea is that she's like her own woman, but also that, which is not to say that women cannot be independent, but in this culture, women just had to be dependent on a man. Women were very much seen as second-class citizens, and citizens is even saying much too. But also unruly as in like cheeky, naughty, not in the sexual way, but like, actually it could mean in the sexual way actually. But I think the word defiant also helps us nail down what this means. Defiant as she doesn't really listen to anybody. Also says that her feet never stay at home. The idea is that she could be out and around, having sex with whoever she wants. Whatever the case is, she's never at home. Here, there also could be an aspect of, like, that, like, she's supposed to be taking care of the house or doing more of the domestic role in the family. This may be true, and the idea is that she is not doing her responsibilities, and that's why she's unruly and defiant. But I'm more of the side of it's more sexual, because the whole thing of this is pretty sexual. So perhaps she's not at home because she's having sexual sins or prostituting around. Verse 12, it says, now in the streets, now in the squares, at every corner she lurks. Now what does this mean? Essentially, she's out tempting people, like attracting people, like in the public places. You see the streets and the squares at every corner. These are public places. So it's not like she is hiding what's going on. Rather, she's out and about trying to get people to have sex with her. Now, verse 13, it says, she took a hold of him and kissed him, and with a brazen face she said, right? So the woman takes a hold of the man, right? The man is a young man. He's a youth. He's simple. He hangs out with other young men, and they are, and this young man has no sense. And now, the woman takes a hold of him and kisses him. And with a brazen face, she says, brazen just means essentially bold, strong, right? It's like, said, today I fulfilled my vows and I have food from my fellowship offering at home. Verse 14 is probably the hardest. It's probably the hardest verse to interpret. It's probably the hardest verse to interpret, but it's not a key verse to this proverb. Actually, in fact, it has no big meaning, but there is still a lot in this. Today I fulfilled my vows. Vows can be taken as offerings, like peace offerings that God has commanded people in Leviticus. And essentially during these peace offerings, the lay people would bring to the priest like meat and to burn or to cook, I believe, or to offer a sacrifice. And then the family has to eat the food, the meat. And if there is too much food, they can bring in extended family to all eat the food. This is a celebration offering. It's not a sin offering. It's not a bad offering. It's a celebration offering. And a little bit of the food would be left for the priest, but in general, the family and the extended family of the peace offering people would eat the food. So essentially, what the adulterous woman is saying, hey, I have made peace offering today. I have made my vows. I fulfilled my vows, right? I have extra food. Come in and eat with us. Now, there are some problems with this, is that the problem with this is that nothing about this tells us it's a meal, right? The whole proverb is all about sexual activity, right? So it's obvious that this adulterous woman is not inviting this person for a meal, but rather it's seducing this man into having sex, right? There is something to be said about this to like our youth today. Too often, people think of like righteousness as like doing these types of things. Hey, I made my offerings. I did my vows. I made peace offerings. I'm righteous before God, right? But then at the same time, they're committing sins in total defiance of God, right? And yeah, sometimes they can be seduced and tempted, but the reality is that there is an expectation that people would resist and use wisdom and insight to guard themselves against sin, right? And so too often people mistake the idea of being righteous before God as their excuse to be sinners, right? See, the idea is that it's like, how can we be righteous and sinners at the same time? It's like, yeah, we have a passive righteous because of Christ. That is much true, but that doesn't mean that we can continue on sinning. That's Romans 6. What then, are we to continue in sin that grace may abound? By no means. How can we who died to sin still remain in it, right? And so the idea is the application, the principle you can pull out of this is to say, hey, just because you do the Christian things doesn't make you a righteous person, right? Just because you do the prayer, just because you come to church on Sundays every week and every Friday, just because you donate this much to the food or serve in this capacity, just because you're on the worship team, doesn't mean anything. Does not mean anything before God, right? Okay, thank you. That was verse 14. Let's move on. And again, this is the woman speaking. So I came out to meet you. I looked for you and found you. The idea here is, the woman is still trying to seduce the man, and so it's like trying to make him feel special. It's like, hey, I came out to meet you. You specific. I looked for you specific, and I found you specifically, right? There's a desire in our hearts to be chosen, right? It's one of the desires that we have, right? We all just want to be chosen for something. And so when a woman comes to you and says, hey, I was looking for you specifically, and I came out for you, and I looked for you, and I found you specifically. Of course you're going to be seduced, right? Of course, if your heart is not guarded, if your wisdom is not with you, it's like, yeah, you're going to let that come to get you, right? Number 16, I covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. I perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Verse 16 and 17, it's like, hey, look, I made the bed ready for you. Colored linens from Egypt. Ooh, fancy. It's like us saying, it's like, oh, it's fancy silk from China, right? Well, I covered it. I put number 20. I put number 2 perfume on my bed. Ooh, it has some vanilla and cinnamon and aloe vera. Oh, imagine the smell. Whew. Yeah, we're being seduced. 18. Come, let's drink deeply of love till morning. Let us enjoy ourselves with love. The idea is, here's my interpretation of this. I'm not sure if it's right or not, but I'm pretty sure it's right. Let us drink deeply. It's like, it's bringing like alcohol like ideas, but they're not drinking alcohol. Rather, they want to be intoxicated with love, right? And so, love till morning. Let us enjoy ourselves with love. That's the idea of here is sex, obviously. All right, let's have sex until morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with a lot of sex. Verse 19, my husband is not home. He has gone for a long journey. He took his purse filled with money, and he will not be home until full moon. Now, moons happen every month. The full moon happens every month. And so the idea is we don't necessarily know when the moon, like what the moon is right now, but the idea is that it's at least, it could be up to a month, but it's a far time away is what essentially is being conveyed. The husband is not at home. He's gone for a long journey. We don't know what for, but that's not really important. But what is known is that he took his purse filled with money, which could, which that could mean a lot of things. There may be a connection with prostitution, that this woman is now asking for money, but that doesn't seem like that's the case. Rather, it seems like she's just seducing. And now the narrator talks, Solomon talks. Here it says, with persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. And all at once, all right, let's stop there. So, persuasive words, right? That's verses 14 to 20. It worked, right? And now he is led astray, the man. What she do? She seduced him with smooth talk, like basically, seducing. It's not hard to get that. She was smoothing him up, just like how, like if you want to like kiss up to your boss, you'd smooth talk your way, Verse 22 and 23 gives big details. Not big details, but like it gives some good imagery on what actually has happened. And so all at once, he followed her, right? He followed her, right? The idea, like, he did not have sex with her yet, right? He just followed her into the house, right? No, well, into the house from the square, from the streets. She found this man, right? Or that the man was near her home and just called him out. And the quick decision to just follow her is like what? It says like this, like an ox going to the slaughter, right? Like an ox going to the slaughter. That's what it was like. It was the ox going to the slaughterhouse to be slaughtered. Like a deer stepping into a noose, right? About to be trapped. Like till an arrow pierces his liver. The idea is that this deer is caught in the noose, right? It's not like a hanging noose. This is not suicide. It's like a noose on the ground. And have you seen those cartoon shows when they put the noose on the ground, somebody steps in it, it grabs them and it holds them in place, and then like the hunter can come and catch her as prey. The idea is here is that, like, the man is like a deer stepping into the noose, and the arrow of like the hunter is about to pierce him, like a bird darting into a snare. Birds darting into snares, they are attracted by food, and so they just go like, oh, food, I want it. Bam, caught like that, just like a snare. And the bird does not know that it will cost him his life, and just like this man, he doesn't know that it will cost him his life. That's the example. That's the sad example. Moving on to verses 24 to 27, this is the final appeal. And this is what Solomon has to say. He says, now then, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Do not let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths. Right? The idea here is like, pay attention to what I'm saying. Don't Don't close your eyes. Don't close your eyes. Don't close your ears to me, right? And here's what he's saying: don't be seduced by her ways. Don't want her, right? You don't want this woman, right? You don't even want to go near her, right? She's in the street. She's in the squares. Don't go near her, right? Don't stray into her paths. Yeah, like don't accidentally go down that way, right? 26. Many are her victims she has brought down. Her slain are a mighty throng. The idea here is that, right, the mighty can be taken down in this way, right? It's not just that, like, the mighty, you may think of, like, Goliath, like, who was strong, a giant, mighty, right? You may think of David, who was a great soldier, right? Won battles, right? But, they can be brought down, right? They like, just because of this, right? Just because of adulterous woman with smooth talk, with seduction, with all that types of things, she can bring down even the strongest of men. And so her house is a highway to the grave. It's a highway. It's not a slow way. It's not an off-road. It's straight to the grave, right? Leading down to the chambers of death, right? Her house. That's where people come to die. Straight to death. It's not a slow burn. It's not a slow torture. Straight to death. That is the reality of sin, of sexual sins. That's Proverbs 7. It's a strong word, I'll be honest. It's a strong word, but I wanna get into the one right now. I want to talk about some of the gender issues that we may experience in our conversations with our small groups. But then also at the second point, I also want to explain some applications that we can pull from this. So number one, let's talk about the gender issue. One of the issues that may show up is that this is very much painting woman. It may seem like it's painting woman into a temptress, adulterous, like, idea of a person. That women are only here to, like, make people sin. That's far from the case, because as I said, that verses 4 says, "Say to wisdom, you are my sisters, and to insight, you are my relative." The idea is that it's not that women are like adulteresses and they are seductive. Rather it's not a gendered issue. Yes, this woman is seducing and tempting and leading people to death and has no sense of shame, right? But at the same time, the man here is not claimed as, like, the man here is expected to know better, right? In verse 7, it says, "Among the simple, I noticed a young man, a youth who had no sense." All right, it's not that this man was ignorant. Rather, this person was, like, stupid. Right? This man was stupid. Right? The idea is that he was easily enticed. Right? This man had a responsibility not to be enticed, but somehow this young man fell into the trap. Right? So the responsibility here is not spread on just the woman who's the sinner, but rather both of them are. So the idea that, no, this is painting women in a bad light. Yeah, it's painting women in a bad light. It's also painting men in a bad light. Terrible light too. Right? This man was supposed to know better. But no, he didn't. He followed her like an ox going to a slaughter, like a deer stepping in a noose, like a bird darting the snare. Yeah. He may have been strong, right? May have been mighty, but it doesn't matter. he did not uphold wisdom and insight as he's supposed to. Okay. That's why I want to talk about the gender issue. The second issue I want to talk about is the application and the relevance of this. Right? Obviously, our audience is boys and girls, boys junior high, underclassmen, upperclassmen, and then we have junior high girls, upperclassmen girls, and lowerclassmen girls. Right? The idea that that this doesn't apply to them because they're not having sex around, or they're not married, or they're not like doing the deed, whatever. That may be true. That could be true. But the principle that everybody should be wise enough to know that they could be seduced is a principle that could be applied to not just men, but also women, right? So when a man flirts and smooth talks, like, hey, baby, looking good tonight, you want to come by, swing by my place? Yeah, don't listen to that man. Deny him. Don't go near him, right? Don't go near that person, because that man can lead you to death, to sin. Right? The idea that it's a temptress, it's a woman, yeah, that's in here because it's written to a son. But if it was written to a daughter, surely Solomon would have said, hey, be careful of men who try to seduce you. They will come dressed out without their shirts, with six packs on, and with the G-string, a thong on, and nothing else, right? And he'll have crafty intent, and he'll be unruly, undefiant, and his feet never stays in his own bed, but often goes into other people's beds, and now he's in the streets, he's at the colleges, he's at the squares, he's at the cafeterias, he's at the coffee shops. Every place he goes, he's just talking around, kissing as many women as he wants to. And with a brazen face, he says, hey, baby, I did my Bible reading. I went to church today. And after I did that, I found you. Whoa, that must be God's providence. Hey, look, come back to my bed. Come back to my place. I have a bed for you. I got some smooth Chinese silk. I put on my fancy cologne from Gucci, right? Let's have a drink, right? I'll have some drinks, and then we can intoxicate ourselves with love. Right? The idea here is that, yeah, you can be seduced by. The idea is that you can be seduced by anything, right? It doesn't. You don't have to be a woman to be seduced, or you don't have to be a man to be seduced. You can also be a woman and be seduced by a man, right? Moreover, since our children are not married or they're not effing around, the idea that anybody can be seduced is still very much true. I think I said that. So we want to keep hammering the point that people can flirt, people can seduce, and yeah, maybe it's not going to lead them into sexual sins, but remember the idea of verse 22, and all at once he followed her. The idea of just following, right? It's like, imagine this. I know a lot of women, a lot of girls on social media get a lot of text messages from strangers, from old men saying, hey, if you send me a couple photos, then I'll give you like $300 a week. These people we call sugar daddies, right? And this happens. This happens to my friends, like at Biola, right? They are getting text messages from people on social media, like strangers, saying, hey, send me pictures of your feet, and we'll give you $2,000 a month, as long as you like be my baby and like talk to me at night, right? Right? This idea that it's like, well, in that situation, like if that woman chooses, hey, I'll send some photos. Like I want to, or maybe I just want to talk to this person, right? Right. I won't send any photo. I just want to talk to him. Don't even do that, right? Don't even start to follow, right? He wants pictures. Like once you start sending pictures of, I don't know, maybe your clothing and not even your body, right? Imagine what he can do in his mind. He'll be lusting over clothes on your body, right? Imagine that situation, right? And the Bible is like, don't even follow, don't even go even near him, near that thing. Don't even engage. That's an application that we can pull out for some women, for some men, for some boys. The application is more easily sought after. It's, hey, don't beware of women who can tempt you, is the main thrust of this passage. It's look out for people who may not have your best interests in mind. Right? There may be women that say, hey baby, I love you, I like you, maybe let's date. And you come to find out that this is not even a Christian. You see, the Bible is clear that Christians should not be dating non-Christians. It's not that we don't believe in like dating evangelism, but oftentimes it doesn't work. Dating evangelism just doesn't work, and oftentimes it's the Christian who loses the faith. But here we want to, and so it's like if a boy or girl finds out that they want to be in a relationship, but they are not Christian, they're not in the Lord, right? Let them not engage with that relationship anymore, right? Yeah, you can say, but baby, we spend all the time together. We do homework together, we talk together, we have lunch together, we hang out together, all our friends are together, right? We love holding hands, we love the PDA. Oh, but you're not a Christian. Oh, so sorry. The correct answer is to say, I can't be with you. I don't want to be with you because you may lead me in a path that I'm not sure is right before the Lord. And that's an application. Another application can be pulled out of the today I fulfill my vows and I have food from my fellowship offerings at home. The idea here is that people can perceive to be righteous. They can be perceived as, oh, I'm right before God. I do all my spiritual things. I pray. I serve at youth group. I'm a minister. I study the Bible. I know what the Bible says. Right? They can do all that. But in reality, it's like, does it really matter? It doesn't really matter. Right? And so here the application is it's to not look at what people do. It's rather look at who people are, right? Don't just look out for like, oh, somebody did this for this person. What is servant's heart? And don't say that of people's servant's heart. You have to really examine, does this person have the fear of the Lord in them? Does this person have wisdom in them? And so that is an application that we can bring out. I want to end off this conversation by saying that this may be a hard word for some people, right? I don't believe that there are people in our youth group that has gone through this, but we do not fall into the trap of thinking, oh, our kids are so good, they're so, they don't sin at all, because that may not be the case, right? That may not be the case. But if we ever find of a situation in which this may be very convicting because it actually happened to somebody, We do not want to forsake them. We do not want to deny them. We do not want to reject them. Rather, let them come and let us talk to them. Like we want to build them up in the Lord. We want them to be restored. Right? We are not looking for people to be demolished by the sin. Yes, this sin will cost them their life. But guess what? We have a Jesus. We have a Savior. We have a Jesus. We have a Savior that can take care of all of these things. All of it. Even the sexual sins. So, let us all be reminded of the love that we can show to our children who may be fallen into these traps. Right? We do not forget them, and we don't assume that they do not exist. And so let us open our hearts to them. Thank you for listening to this kind of podcast style of Bible study. I really enjoy making these videos. They're really fun for me. I just sit in front of my computer and just talk, and it's kind of fun for me. I hope you guys enjoy it. Peace out.